back now to the Western Cape to the 27th edition of the INTERPOL African Regional Conference. We understand now that Police Minister Firoz Cachalia is on the podium. Let's listen in.
To strengthen safety and security on our continent. So I'm very pleased on behalf of the South African people and the South African Police Service to be hosting this event this year in Cape Town, which I understand follows from an event in Luanda 2 years ago, which I'm sure you're going to be building on in your deliberations over the next few days. So I think it's appropriate that you're convening in Cape Town, in South Africa. I have been looking at the program. I'm not going to be with you for the deliberations after the opening ceremony, but I asked the National Commissioner to submit the program. I've been looking at the program and I've asked him to submit your presentations, the documents and other materials for my bedtime reading in the days ahead. I think that we live in an internet-connected world. Transnational cooperation is vitally important. It has been in recent decades, and I think it's going to be the case in the decades ahead as we confront new and emerging threats that cut across borders. And so I'm not here simply because it's a formal occasion. I wanted to demonstrate our commitment to strengthening cooperation in the area of safety and security. I think that is an important element of every country's, should be an important element of every country's national security strategy. And so Interpol is a very important body. I've been hearing about the number of policing organizations, countries, and so forth that you represent. Very impressive, and I look forward to working with you in the years ahead. So now I'll get to the formal part of the speech. It is both an honor and a privilege for me, on behalf of the government and the people of the Republic of South Africa, to welcome you in our country and to this 27th Interpol African Regional Conference. We are deeply appreciative of the trust and confidence placed in us to host this important gathering of leaders, experts, and practitioners committed to strengthening the rule of law and ensuring the safety and security of our nations, our continent, and indeed the entire globe. The conference convenes at a critical juncture. Transnational organized crime remains one of the most serious threats to peace, stability, and development across Africa and beyond. Its manifestations, as we heard from the National Commissioner and the President, are diverse, from drug trafficking, human trafficking, which is, of course, particularly upsetting, illicit firearms, cybercrime as technology evolves, wildlife crime, particular problem in South Africa, money laundering and terrorism, to name but a few. Thank you very much. To name but a few of the most threatening. These crimes transcend borders, exploit technological advances, and undermine the security of our peoples and the integrity of our respective states and economies. We are all mindful, particularly of that syndicated crime is not static. The evolving nature of criminal activities, the emergence of new trends, and the use of sophisticated technologies by criminal networks compel us to constantly adapt our responses. This is a task that demands a collective, concerted, and focused effort. It requires robust strategies and the concrete implementation of agreed actions at national, regional, continental, and global levels. So, Mr. President, your 5-year plan is very important, and I hope that the 5-year plan will be properly executed over while it's in duration. The importance of this conference lies not only in its agenda, but also in its substantive agenda, policy agenda, but its practical orientation. We are gathered here to generate solutions that are both strategic as well as pragmatic, solutions that can be implemented effectively within our countries and within the frameworks of our regional and continental organizations. Our deliberations will help to shape a more coordinated African response to transnational organized crime, one that strengthens the security of our borders while protecting the rights and well-being of our people. It's a point I can't stress too much. It's become very clear to me since my appointment that our challenge in this country, and I'm sure that this is the case in many jurisdictions, is transnational organized crime. And we are challenged to ensure that we are fit for purpose, that we can meet these challenges. For South Africa, our participation in this conference is firmly rooted in our constitutional values and our long-term national vision. Our Constitution enshrines the rights of every person to safety and security, and it compels the state to protect and uphold these rights. The medium-term development plan for 2024 to 9, more or less coinciding with your 5-year plan, outlines 3 priorities, the third one being building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. At the heart of this lies creating communities that serve as a fundamental pillar for achieving inclusive growth, social cohesion, and sustainable development. So in our integral perspective, there is a connection between what you do as police officers, working towards safety and security, and our development, our other commitments. Our sustainable development goals are interrelated with those of the challenge to achieve greater levels of global security. We recognize that transnational organized crime undermines development and corrodes governance. By weakening institutions, fueling corruption, and diverting resources, it impedes our ability to achieve the aspirations of Agenda 2063 of the African Union and the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. This is why we are committed to working alongside our partners in Africa and across the world to find lasting solutions. The 26th Regional Conference, which was held in Luanda, Angola in 2023, 2 years ago, resolved that information sharing in multiple areas, from wildlife trafficking to counter-terrorism, needed to be increased. The call was for INTERPOL members to make the most of the tools and services available to them, tools that are automatically connect police officers internationally. I hope that there has been progress in the implementation of the resolutions taken at that conference, and that you will continue to build on what was achieved 2 years ago. The Tax Transparency in Africa report of 2022 by the Africa Initiative showed that African countries suffered significant losses from illicit financial flows, estimated at between 50 and 80 billion every year. Interpol plays a critical containing role in limiting these illicit financial flows, which of course are so harmful to the economic development aspirations of our continent. This is a matter that I find deeply troubling. We struggle with resource constraints. We have huge developmental agendas. We have populations that we must serve, millions of people, and yet we have to deal with a problem of financial leakage from our jurisdictions. We have to find solutions to deal with this problem, because it impacts safety and security plus economic development. In this regard, I wish to emphasize the importance of enhancing and strengthening the role of the Interpol regional and national central bureaus, which I'm learning a little bit about now. These institutions are critical nodes in our collective security architecture. Their effectiveness determines, to a large extent, our ability to prevent, detect, investigate, and prosecute complex cross-border crimes. Equally, our collaboration with the African Regional Police Chiefs Security Cooperation Organizations must be deepened to ensure seamless communication, information sharing, and operational coordination across jurisdictions. I have been advised that this conference will also be used to establish an Interpol African Committee, a most welcome development. Such a committee will enable us to approach transnational organized crime in Africa in a more structured, coherent, and unified manner, so that we are better able to address our common challenges and achieve our shared aspirations for security and development. We must seize this moment to institutionalize cooperation and ensure that it's durable, sustainable, and responsive to the realities of our beloved continent. In order to be efficient and credible, every organization needs to ensure that its members are professional, capable, qualified, and honorable. It is up to us to ensure that we uproot corruption within the law enforcement agencies themselves, and to ensure that we have leaders who serve with integrity. I'm impatient, colleagues, with bureaucratic rhetoric and platitudes. These are deep problems. And in this country and in other countries, but speaking for my own country and my own people, this is a challenge we have to face, because we can't meet the other challenges of improving safety and security, underpinning development and economic growth of our people, whose futures are not negotiable, without attention to such matters. Professionalism, ethical commitments, uncompromising commitment to the safety and security of the population in a democracy, because that is what South Africa is. That has to be an unwavering commitment, one that is not merely repeated at conferences of this kind. Distinguished delegates, the task before us is daunting, but is also inspiring. Our collective resolve, our shared expertise, and our commitment to cooperation gives us reason to be hopeful. Let this conference serve as a catalyst for renewed determination and practical collaboration. Let us leave here not only with well-articulated strategies, but with actionable plans that we are committed to implementing. Words matter, but so does action. On behalf of South Africa, I wish to reaffirm our firm commitment to the values and objectives of Interpol and to the spirit of African and international solidarity. We will continue to play our part in building a safer continent and a more secure world. I thank you all and wish this conference fruitful deliberations and a successful outcome. And I hereby have the pleasure to declare the conference officially open. Thank you very much.
Right, we just heard there from the acting police minister, Professor Firoz Cachalia, who's just delivered a hard-hitting message at the 27th edition of the INTERPOL African Regional Conference, calling for stronger cooperation in the fight against transnational organized crime. The minister also emphasized that tackling criminal syndicates requires not only national strategies, but also a collective sort of regional and even global action. He underlined the importance of Interpol's role as well in building a coordinated African response, one that secures borders, also strengthens law enforcement collaboration and protects the rights and well-being of citizens across the continent. The minister also highlighted the significance of mostly turning policy into practice, saying that the challenge is now not just about drafting strategies, but ensuring that agreed actions are implemented effectively. So he also pointed out that the conference is not simply about agenda setting, but about generating pragmatic results-driven solutions. And all that is currently happening now as he kickstarts and opens the 27th edition of the INTERPOL African Regional Conference.